It's a brand new episode of Western Edge Living, presented by CHI St. Alexius Health Dickinson. I'm your host, Bill Polinick. Thank you for stopping by. You know, grief will hit us particularly hard, especially around the holidays. We'll be going about our day and bam, it hits us, and sometimes it hits very hard. This can be difficult to navigate, and the folks at CHI St. Alexius Health Dickinson know this. Consider attending one of their community grief support group sessions at the hospital conference room. Follow them on Facebook, and they'll let you know when the next one is scheduled. They care. They really do at CHI St. Alexius Health Dickinson. We're here in my studio where I record radio programs, I edit video, voice track several radio stations, and much more. I've been an entrepreneur like this since about 1998, over 25 years, and doing this, I've had to rent offices in Dickinson and now Belfield in order to have access to reliable broadband internet. I've made attempts at doing these things from where I live with unacceptable results. I've always had to go where the internet is. But now, in 2025, the internet is coming to me. And this is courtesy of the very hard work being done by Consolidated. I cannot believe this is actually happening, but it is. And today, the CEO of Consolidated, Bryan Personne, and I have a conversation about this and much, much more. I cannot wait to chat with him. So I'm going to make my way from this studio to the studios of Consolidated while you call the neighbors and tell them to turn on the TV as Western Edge Living, presented by CHI St. Alexius Health Dickinson, starts now.
CHI St. Alexius Health Dickinson presents Western Edge Living.
Western Edge Living.
Wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you.
Pretzel lovers. The Thirsty Pretzel, located inside the Worst Shop in Dickinson, features 8 flavors of pretzels, with more to come. Choose from honey mustard, French onion, dill pickle, and more. And gluten-free pretzels are available. The Thirsty Pretzel also has granola, caramel crunch mix, and snack mix. Various quantities and gift boxes are available, and they deliver to Dickinson businesses. Find the Thirsty Pretzel on Facebook, call 701-590-1499, or stop in at the Worst Shop. The Thirsty Pretzel. Medora Boot and Western Wear in the heart of historic Medora. Open 10 to 5 every day, but closed Tuesdays. Boot is their middle name, and they have over 1,500 pairs of boots in stock for all ages and sizes. They also have the all-new Higher Boot with many new styles, Western clothes, belts, caps, hats, and more, including a great line of toys and Longhorn wall decor. Medora Boot and Western Wear for the cowboy and cowgirl in you.
Medora Boot and Western Wear.
Service Pro Express Lube, now open on East Fuller Dickinson. Gets your vehicle serviced quickly and you're back on the road in no time. No appointment required. You don't even get out of your vehicle. They utilize Service Pro oil, the only oil produced and refined in the U.S., and it meets or exceeds vehicle manufacturer requirements. Plus, they top off all fluids and perform multi-point inspections. It's part of what's offered at Service Pro Express Lube. Students looking for a part-time gig? Inquire at Service Pro Express Lube. Ask about the Scholarship Incentive Program. Service Pro Express Lube, East Fuller Dickinson, next to Lucky's.
Here's your Lotus Energy drink.
Thanks so much. Can I pay my Consolidated bill online?
We have an app for that.
Can I get a text on my phone when my bill is due?
We have an app for that.
Download the Consolidated My Account app today and take control of your account with useful features like viewing or paying your bill right on your phone. Never miss a payment again with the Consolidated My Account app, available free at the App Store or Google Play.
At Poncheros, we put a lot of work into building every burrito to last for about 10 minutes. Poncheros. Come build your better. At Poncheros, every tortilla starts as a small ball of dough. Then it's fresh pressed to perfection. That's just how we do it. Poncheros. Come build your better.
Howdy from historic Medora and Little Missouri Saloon and Dining. We are open 7 days a week all year round. Little Missouri Saloon and Dining is well known for great food, great drinks, and great times. Lots of folks find our menu to be very unique and satisfying. Nobody leaves here hungry. Find out more at littlemosaloon.com. Come check us out. You won't be disappointed. See you at the Little Missouri Saloon and Dining in historic Medora.
And we are back in the studio of Western Edge Living, presented by CHI St. Alexius Health Dickinson. The studio located in the beautiful facilities of Consolidated Telcom in Dickinson. And joining us today, the CEO, right to the top of the tree, we've got Bryan Personne.
Good to see you, Bill.
Good to see you, Bryan. Life is good.
Absolutely.
Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. You know, on the outside looking in, I would have to believe that 2023-24, probably one of the busiest times ever for Consolidated. Am I close there?
Oh, absolutely, because, I mean, we were ramped up for Belfield.
Right.
So that was an add to what we normally do.
Yeah.
2 years of construction in Belfield on top of every year in Dickinson. We are overbuilding segments of Dickinson to try to convert it all to fiber as well. And we've been working on that project for probably 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
So each year for the last 6 years, including this year, we bit off another section of Dickinson. That in addition to doing Belfield. So yeah, it was twice as busy as normal. It
has been my sincere pleasure seeing all the activity in my neck of the woods this summer, the trenching going on, the boring, and the crews that have been out there. And we're going to get to that here in just a bit. But let's, I don't know a thing about you. And as we were getting ready before you got here, I heard something about an attorney. You are also an attorney. Is that something that we should disclose publicly, or?
Well, you can disclose it. I don't openly talk about it because most people don't like attorneys.
Right.
But that is kind of my background. Before we moved to Dickinson, I went to law school and I was licensed in California. And then my family at that time, my wife and I, decided to move closer to family. And so we moved to Arizona because I have 3 of my sisters live there.
Okay.
And at that time, my dad and my stepmother lived in Phoenix. So we decided to relocate and left California. And then when I moved to Phoenix, I kind of switched gears. And so I went away from practicing law to more corporate work. And so I was doing in-house employment law type things, business transactions. I wasn't practicing as an attorney, and that's kind of how I made my transition from legal work to human resource type work, and did that for 3 years. And by that point I had 2 children. When we moved, my wife was pregnant with our first, and then she got pregnant with our second, and then we decided that wanted to live someplace smaller. I had grown up in Kansas, spent some time as a young child living in Texas. My mom was a school teacher, and we moved down there, and then we moved back to Kansas. And so I had grown up in smaller places, more rural places, the Midwest, and having lived in Phoenix for 3 years, I knew I wasn't going to be able to do that forever.
Right.
Too many people, too fast for me. So I kind of started looking for jobs in the Midwest and stumbled, across a job in Dickinson and flew out and met everybody, and the rest is history. We actually, packed up and moved here in July of 1998 and had 2 more kids since then, so I have a total of 4. I have 3 boys and a daughter. And so yes, the answer is yes. I was an attorney at one point in time. I'm no longer a practicing attorney, but I can tell you that there are things from that I use in all aspects of work today. It just gives me a different way of looking things, looking at risk and how to manage it, trying to anticipate problems and how to get ahead of them. There's something about learning how to be an attorney that makes you look at the world differently. Not always in a good way, but it's been valuable to me to have that in my background.
So you've been in Dickinson roughly 26 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
July
All that time at Consolidated?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you did the job that you that caught your eye while you were living in Phoenix to move to North Dakota. Was that the CEO of Consolidated, or what were the steps that led you to the office you're in now?
So when I first came, they were looking for a human resource manager.
All righty.
And, if you remember what was going on in 1998 was kind of the middle of that part of corporate life where sexual harassment was becoming a hot topic everywhere, about things that you can do and you can't do at work.
Mm-hmm.
And Dan, our previous CEO, I think he had some concerns about making sure that Consolidated was, from a human resource standpoint, doing everything that it could to protect itself from employment type related lawsuits, not necessarily just limited to sexual harassment, but just making sure that we were doing everything that appropriately. So I think that when I first met him, there weren't any issues that he had on his plate, but I think he was just kind of thinking ahead about how do we make sure that we're doing things correctly. And so that's what I was brought in for, was to, from a human resource standpoint, to make sure our employee manual and our employment law practices were, that we were following the law. And then from that, I became the administrative services manager. And so it was a made-up title, but what they did is they gave me human resources, safety, and our warehouse functions. And so I supervised all of those. And then Dan retired, and then Paul Schetzler became our CEO. And when he became the CEO, I became the chief operating officer.
Okay.
So I was number 2 in the company. Just saying that out loud, that would make some of my boys, if I referred to myself as number 2, they would think that was hilarious. But so what that involved is, in addition to human resources, safety, and the warehouse, then I kind of oversaw everything else. So all of our daily operations. And that's kind of how my first stint into managing plant operations. So everything from outside plant to inside plant network. And I did that for 20 plus years until 21.
On the outside looking in, I'm sure every job, like, human resources and the things you've been involved in, has its challenges. But on the outside looking in, the staff that I've been involved with here at Consolidated, the people here, in the video side of things, your customer service, your internet tech support, what a great bunch of people, Bryan. Everybody seems so happy and delighted to do their job.
Yeah, one of the things that's interesting, and I've talked to staff about this at different functions, because I have the wonderful thing about perspective that many of them don't have, meaning that I've worked outside of North Dakota. I've worked at many other companies, and truly this company is a gem.
Yeah.
And I'm so honored to work with these people. I know that if I need something and I ask somebody to help me out, there's not a person here that wouldn't drop what they're doing and help me out in that way. And having the perspective of working at places where that is not the case, where people don't actually care about you, that you're just another cog in the wheel. For me, that is it's a wonderful thing just to be able to have that perspective. And not everybody has that. I mean, one of the things that is unique to small places is that many times as a young person, you'll start a job. That may be the only job you ever have. I mean, you may work at a place your entire career, and never really have outside perspective. Never having worked at a place that's maybe not quite as good, the people aren't quite as great. And because I have that, I can truly appreciate what I have here.
Okay, we're going to talk about your lifestyle and the things you enjoy about living in Western North Dakota when we come back, because I've been in your office and I've seen you keep a taxidermist busy, don't you?
Well, yes and no. Some of those things, and I mean, some of the things that actually hang in my office are repairs.
Okay.
So I'm kind of a craft guy. I like to build things and make things, and so probably 8-9 years ago, I started buying some things off of eBay, damaged taxidermy, and I would repair it.
Oh, wow.
And so I would buy ducks that like maybe had a broken wing or broken foot, and then I would repair them and repaint them, and then, you know, some of the things, that's what's hanging in my office today, stuff I've repaired.
Awesome, awesome. We'll talk about that and more. We'll talk about bridging the digital divide, if you will, in North and South Belfield. When we come back, as we continue our conversation with Bryan Personne, the CEO of Consolidated, here on Western Edge Living, presented by CHI, St. Alexius Health Dickinson. We're back in just a jiffy.
You know, I got 2 home runs.
You got 2 jacks.
And then my grand slam, I signed the ball for you.
Okay.
And it says, Papa, I love you.
Why did you do that?
Because you taught me everything about baseball.
You're so sweet.
The worst shop in Dickinson, the best darn sausage in town. Their products are backed by 6 generations of authentic German ancestry, meaning they are as they have been for hundreds of years. Folks come from near and far to enjoy their steaks, hamburger, country-style sausage, and much more, including seasonings, cheese, and of course, Coogan. The worst shop features a great atmosphere to enjoy and absorb as you browse. Stop by Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., Saturdays 8 to 4. The best darn sausage in town and more, all at the worst shop. Medora Boot and Western Wear in the heart of historic Medora. Open 10 to 5 every day, but closed Tuesdays. Boot is their middle name, and they have over 1,500 pairs of boots in stock for all ages and sizes. They also have the all-new Higher Boot with many new styles, Western clothes, belts, caps, hats, and more, including a great line of toys and Longhorn wall decor. Medora Boot and Western Wear for the cowboy and cowgirl in you.
Medora Boot and Western Wear.
Service Pro Express Lube, now open on East Fullard Dickinson. Gets your vehicle serviced quickly and you're back on the road in no time. No appointment required. You don't even get out of your vehicle. They utilize Service Pro oil, the only oil produced and refined in the U.S., and it meets or exceeds vehicle manufacturer requirements. Plus, they top off all fluids and perform multi-point inspections. It's part of what's offered at Service Pro Express Lube. Students looking for a part-time gig? Inquire at Service Pro Express Lube. Ask about the Scholarship Incentive Program. Service Pro Express Lube, East Fullard Dickinson, next to Lucky's.
At Poncheros, we don't just make burritos. We build them for a full-on flavor experience when you eat it. Poncheros. Come build your better. At Poncheros, we mix our ingredients so that all the right stuff is in all the right places. Poncheros. Come build your better.
Consolidated My TV app, available now at Google Play or the App Store.
Howdy from historic Medora and Little Missouri Saloon and Dining. We are open 7 days a week all year round. Little Missouri Saloon and Dining is well known for great food, great drinks, and great times. Lots of folks find our menu to be very unique and satisfying. Nobody leaves here hungry. Find out more at littlemosaloon.com. Come check us out. You won't be disappointed. See you at the Little Missouri Saloon and Dining in historic Medora.
Lots of things you could be doing, but here you are watching our television show, and we greatly appreciate that. This is Western Edge Living, presented by CHI St. Alexius Health Dickinson. Make sure you follow CHI St. Alexius Health on Facebook, as they have activities going on all the time here in Dickinson. We're continuing our conversation with the CEO of Consolidated, Bryan Personne, and rebuilding broken animals in the form of taxidermy. That's something that you're into, huh?
It is. I mean, it's not something that I do a lot of, but like I said, you know, during the winter months when I'm kind of in between seasons, as I was looking on eBay, I was seeing some things that were broken that you could get for hardly, I mean, basically they're giving them away, $10, you know, and so I would buy them and then just repair them and fix them and clean them up and remount them and hang them on the walls.
That's how you reboot your system, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
It's hard to have a bad thought when you're engrossed in your hobby. Yeah,
absolutely.
Awesome,
Absolutely.
awesome. Well, you know, the availability of broadband in western North Dakota has been something that I've been challenged with since 2009, and I've always had to go to where the internet is. And now in late 2024, early 2025, internet is coming to me. And I thank you and the staff for doing that. And as I mentioned in the previous segment, seeing all the activity in our neighborhood over the summer, the trenching and the boring and the things that have been going on. And I would talk to these guys from now, you know, occasionally, thank them for what they were doing. They were so appreciative. They were so grateful for that. Were they getting some pushback from perhaps some of the areas that they were working in?
No, but it is a thankless job for some of those contractors because if you think about their interaction, most of the time they're not dealing directly with the public. So they're out and they're running equipment and they're putting fiber in the ground. Generally, probably 80% of their contact is somebody that's approached them because there's a problem. Okay.
Yeah.
So either there's been dirt settling or you know, there's just some issue that's being brought to them. So most of the time, most of their interaction is probably negative, and then they have to figure out how to take care of this customer and resolve it. So I can tell you that when they do get a pat on the back or a friendly hello or a thank you, it means the world to those guys.
They made that quite evident.
Absolutely.
Whenever I did that. Yes.
It is hard work. They physically demanding, and as you know, they were running up to just like a week and a half ago when it got really cold, and the only reason they stopped is because they couldn't keep the water in their equipment from freezing.
Oh my!
And so for that appreciation goes a long ways with them.
Do you have an idea how many new customers of Consolidated there are between the South Belfield and the projected North Belfield projects?
Yeah, so where we sit today is we put drops in to over 430 locations between the north and the south. Now there are more locations in the north than there are in the south. Just geographically there are. I would tell you that my memory is that we have about 230 of those are in the north, and then the other 200 would be in the south. Total just under 400 miles of fiber placed between last summer and today, and then about 430 drops placed. We still have a little bit to finish up in the spring, but for the most part it's been very successful. I mean, this is probably the most that we've ever put in that short time of, short of a period.
How many crews did you have? Boring crews and trenching crews? It seemed like there was a lot of personnel in the area.
MP Next Level was the contractor that we used, and so what they did is they had 3 crews running fiber equipment, so trenching equipment that you would see out on the highways and the roads, putting that in. But then they also had 2 to 3 drop crews, and those were the crews that were actually working in the yard, bringing the fiber from the road to the side of the home, or wherever, structure, business, whatever it was. So they had 2 to 3 of those running, and then they have an entirely different splicing crew, the guys that come in after it's all placed, and then they splice those pieces of fiber together, and then they have to test it to actually make sure that it works.
Now, splicing fiber, I mean, my goodness, you're talking about wires that are probably equivalent to a human hair. Am I correct on that?
Absolutely.
How do you splice that together? You just take some duct tape and wrap it up, or what do you what do you got to do?
There's special equipment that's used to do it, and it is a tedious process to make those splices, and just the smallest error will mean that the light doesn't pass through it the way that it should. And so it is a special field. I mean, not everybody can do it. I could not do it. It takes, you know, specialized training. They have special equipment that makes it happen. And that is, you know, sometimes that's the part that is most frustrating for people to understand. So all summer long, the crews are putting all that stuff in, and then the splicer comes behind, and his job is to put all those segments together, and then he has to test it to make sure that every place that he's spliced it, that light is actually passing through the way it should. If it fails, then they have equipment that tells them how many feet back there was a failure point, and then they look on the maps and they figure where that is, and they go back to that point, and they'll redo that splice to make sure that it's clean enough and it works. It is quite a thing.
Wow, what's the margin of error like? I mean, they do a lot of testing to make sure that everything's good to go from the point of splicing.
You know, surprisingly, there's not much error in it.
Really? Okay.
Sometimes, you know, there are errors, and sometimes you just have damaged piece of fiber when it was placed, it got damaged somehow. But for as much as it was placed, the failure is very, very minor.
Wow. Looking forward to being able to do what I do from where I'm at, and that's kind of what Theodore Roosevelt said to do. So do what you can with what you have from where you're at. What happens next? We get everybody hooked up south of Belfield, north of Belfield. Everybody's happy. And what happened? You were talking in the first segment about still building around the Dickinson area too, right?
Yeah, we have at least 2 more years to complete our overbuild of Dickinson. So we bought the cable TV system in Dickinson in, I want to say 2002. That cable TV system is coax, not fiber.
Okay.
We use that today to provide telephone, video, and internet in Dickinson. We're replacing all that coax with fiber, so they will have the same fiber that you're going to have and the same fiber that our cooperative has in Dickinson. The reason we're doing it is that fiber actually performs better than coax. You can get symmetrical upload and download on fiber. On coax, there's not symmetrical speeds available. So in Dickinson, we can offer a gig, okay? But if it's fiber, it's a gig by a gig. If it's coax, I believe that it's a gig by 200. Okay, and so that's part of the reason is that people's usage of the internet has changed from where it was at 10 or 15 years ago. And so having symmetrical speeds, there's value in that depending on what the consumer does. But so we have 2 more years of construction to finish Dickinson.
Well, let's get you back on the program and continue this conversation going forward. If I haven't said it before, Bryan, I am so grateful for Consolidated. I'm so grateful for you. I thank you for being my friend, somebody that I can text anytime. I appreciate that. Having internet and having Western Edge living on Consolidated means the world to me. I thank you so very, very much. Happy holidays, my friend.
You too. Merry Christmas.
You bet. Bryan Personne, the CEO of Consolidated in Dickinson, our guest today here on Western Edge Living, presented by CHI St. Alexius Health Dickinson. Thanks for watching.
Western Edge Living.